Good morning, afternoon, or evening, where you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kurojiri, your resident tinkerer and Medarotter, and this is the Medarots News Network, bringing you all the latest developments and happenings with our favorite pet-fighting robot series. Well, on one hand, we probably would have expected maybe like a summer event to kind of segue us between the tail end of the Railgun collab and then the 3.5-year anniversary, but it looks like we're not quite on the mark with that one. Instead, a very ominous aura comes upon the horizon as we see not one, but the final two of Horima Rin's 7 Lucky Gods series. As you see here, the entire cast is complete, 7 models, 1 leg type each, and boy oh boy is it gonna be a messy and a doozy once those 2 officially go live, given the previous history that the other 5 have done with their dedicated super invasions and just how much of a pain they were in a push to each of the Medarotters' limits. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into what was officially announced this week going live for the channel, starting of course with the gacha banners. As fully expected, the only 2 models we're getting this week are of course the final 2 of the Lucky Gods. Starting the lineup is SFJ05 Hote Pushin with the kits of Perfect Guard, ACG Shot, HC Buster, Float Legs, and the leg ability of Charge Shot. So already a very nasty model and a very unique choice of aesthetic and design there, as you see with the very wide open mouth in terms of the design that it was based off, but a very powerful and imposing kit all the same. In addition to him, we also have the final model of the 7 Lucky Gods series, SFJ06 Daikoku Mahakata, with the kits of Terminate, Power Hammer, Hyper Beam, Wheeled Legs, and the leg ability of Haja. Now, having Wheeled Legs with Haja honestly will put him in relatively the same kind of tier as Beast Chimera, who we've actually had for a while as an already existing boss type. But all the same, much like the other 6 of his 7 series, this one is going to be an absolute threat, monster, and imposing force to be reckoned with the moment he hits the field with high specs, high power, and a very dangerous kit all around. In addition to this, we are also getting reruns exclusively of the previous 5 as well to celebrate the unification of the 7 pieces completely. Going through those just ever so briefly, SFJ01 Benten Sana with the kits of Force Control, Static, Microwave, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Charm. The second model in series, SFJ01 Juro Nanchi with Revive, Suction, Long Shot, Multi-Ped Legs, and Desert Type. Third in series, SFJ02 Fukoro Kuraofu with Rebirth, Slash, Blow Away, Flight Legs, and the leg ability of Climber. Fourth in series, SFJ03 Ibisu Shichifuku with Fight, Full Charge, Beam Sword, Armor Drain, Sea Legs, and the leg ability of Through Fight. And then last but not least, the most recent up until this week, SFJ04 Bisha Mokubera with Tsujigiri, Pile, High Blow, Tank Legs, and the leg ability of Hidden. Now, between all 7 models we have here, again, it's going to be an absolutely massive force to be reckoned with, seeing these very powerful models available once more, especially with the addition of the 2 new ones. That being said, you really can't go wrong picking any of the 7 models here to invest rubies in if any one of them catches your interest. They all have some very powerful gimmick one way or another that makes them absolutely worth the investment and the ruby drops to pull for them. Then Tensada for Microwave on females, Doronanchi for Revive and Desert Legs with multi-legs with Desert Type, Fukoro Kuraofu with Rebirth, and very equally, probably one of the fastest flight legs we have on hand right now. Ibisu for Fight Full Charge and Through Fight with good sea legs, Bisha Mokubera with very powerful hidden tank legs, hidden ability, and Tsujigiri, and of course the new ones for their own same reasons as well. With the fierce battles we have going on this week, it's going to be a little lower key in terms of what we have incoming, so going to be kind of a nice little lull in that sense. Starting the lineup for the fierce battles, we have SGT-0 Sagittarius with the kit of Suction, Defense, and Evade Seal, flight legs and the leg ability of Hidden, much like Bisa Mokubera, which, explained briefly, gives you an extra head use for every non-used heavy slot on the legs. Behind him, we have RAY04 Arago Star with triple beam, wheeled legs, and the leg ability of Excel for even higher speed. And then last but not least, HKG0 Hawk Decker with triple wave, light legs, and the leg ability of Excel. Now, honestly, like I said, the fierce battles this week are going to be a little lower key, so don't really have to focus too heavily on whether you should farm for one or not, but they are still worth having in your library one way or another. Wave in particular, nice if you need to slow your enemies down, but between the three, I would still have to give the MVP of the week to Sagittarius in this case, given that even though Defense Seal and Evade Seal are both considered ailments, if Stat Cleanse or Haja or anything of the like is not on the cards in the enemy team, you can still absolutely make good use of it with the ability to stall or even guarantee crits or landing hits between both of those arms, even if it does take a little bit of a monetary investment to do so. In terms of events and such going on this week, it is going to be relatively lower key, again, like I said, mostly because a lot of the big stuff is very likely going to happen next week, which I will get into in just a moment. But as far as this week's concerned, most of the stuff just has to do with the 7 lucky gods as a whole. Of course, we are getting super invasions for both Hote Pushin and Daikoku Mahakata. So, of course, do expect for some very how do I put this nicely? Very difficult times, and absolutely going to be pushing you to your limits. Now, if these follow the same patterns that the previous 5 had done, since it kind of has been established at this point, I am fully expecting the modifiers are going to be for level 1, double armor, level 2, triple armor, and then level 3, they start at 50% more armor and full Metaforce charge. So, basically, bad times all around. But based on what I saw just of the legs, stat spreads of these two models, it may not be as bad, quote-unquote. Don't quote me on that one, because I don't want you guys to come back to yell at me saying I lied when I didn't. They're probably going to be just as difficult as the previous 5 in the past. We will just have to see when they do officially go live. Now that we have all 7 completed with their own individual trials, we now have access to a third one that will be available, and that is one tackling all 7 of the lucky gods back-to-back between 3 rounds. This, in turn, will be considered the ultimate test. If the previous 7 were already massive headaches and nightmares with their modifiers and team lineups, and boy oh boy were they, being completely honest. I still have not forgiven Juronanchi for that one. This one is going to be an absolute test of the limits, a test of tests, and a marvel of marvels. If you can conquer this one, you could absolutely consider yourself a master of Row Battle for being able to conquer the 7 Celestial Saints. So I do wish you the best of luck on that one, and if you do come up with any strategies or ideas on how you think could be handled, definitely give them a buzz in our Discord or in the YouTube links below. Alternatively, in addition to this, just as a side comment, the official Twitter channel is hosting a contest, open forum kind of thing, where if you tag specific models as a hashtag on Twitter with screenshots or notes, you can kind of share your thoughts or feedback with other players that are struggling with these fights. So if you do have something you could share, or if you're looking for some feedback, definitely give all those tags a follow, or take a look at them and see maybe what you could glean off of them. The best and most resourceful and most helpful of hints apparently will be earning in-game rewards, so do stay tuned for that and check out the official channel for more information. Now, in addition to that, of course, much like the previous 5, we will be getting a return of Marathon Survival as an event of the week to keep us busy. For those that are out of the loop or unprepared or unaware, Marathon Survival is a rather unique term of event that can be used, and simply put, upon victory of the first round, all 12 parts you used on it will be added to a banned list. This means that you are not allowed to choose those parts again until you reach a checkpoint or can refresh them. And usually with refreshes you have no more than maybe 3 or 4 tops, so you may want to use those wisely. Of course, this is mostly just a test and a check to make sure that you've been paying attention to using other parts, if you've been raising other parts, and how flexible you are with using parts that you may or may not use super often with teams that are just kind of haphazardly thrown together, if you will. But if you are able to conquer the challenges, there are very lucrative rewards to be had between power-up chips, rubies, and many, many more powerful resources to be had and fill your inventories. Now, this in particular is just another rehash of the update that's going live this coming week with the 3.5 update. I am going to continually go over it again this week and next week as well as reviews, just to kind of keep you guys in the know on that and just kind of rehash and remind you guys what is incoming. But the 3.5 patch will be bringing a lot, and I mean a lot, of very, very highly requested and anticipated updates. Just kind of going through that list briefly so I don't spend too much time on it. In terms of the main screen in particular, we are getting the implementation of tutorial fights. These are basically fights that kind of teach you how to play the game, how to use certain menus, kind of like my guides in particular that I've done up to this point. So I very likely will rehash or remake some of my tutorials in tandem with these. There will be first-time rewards to be earned if you have not cleared them. So if you are a rookie Medarotter or a new player that has just started playing, keep an eye out for these and definitely follow them and learn how to play, because they will teach you the basics on what you need to know no matter where you go or what you do in the game. For row battles in general, we are getting the implementation of a silent leader mechanic. Prior to this mechanic, or at least all the way up to this week in particular, when you fought a leader, you did not know who was the team lead until you knocked them out with a kill. At that point, it was kind of a 1 in 3 chance if you killed the leader prematurely, or if you got unlucky and killed an ally first. That will no longer be the case. With Silent Leader, upon damaging the leader's head part as they were still hidden at the start of the fight, you will essentially flush them out, and a banner will show up around on their model on the field screen to dedicate and designate them as the leader. At that point, you can decide if you want to take out the leader fast and just be done with it, or if you want to stall and kill the allies faster, depending on how the fight plays out. The choice will now be entirely yours. This also will extend into PvP permanently, which I will get into in just a minute, which has a whole slew of updates that are going live as well. Now, in terms of PvP, that's where most of the changes will be coming from, and I'm so glad that we're getting these updates, because these, like I mentioned, are things that players have been complaining about for a very, very long time, and really needed to have change to help keep interactivity and engagement up. But to go over those changes briefly, again, Silent Leader will be implemented with this as a carryover from general row battles. Survival bonus will be reduced and no longer count against you if you have parts broken. Basically, in the past, that means if you use a part and it breaks, you'll have a deduction in your points. That no longer counts against you until that particular Medarot falls. That means you can use Assassin and Sacrifice parts very safely without having to risk points for it. Deactivation bonus. Basically, this means bonuses are increased when a part is destroyed and be increased further when the enemy Medarot is shut down. Basically, that means you'll be earning more points for breaking parts on the enemy team, and more points in addition to that when you finally take them down with a knockout. Leader Destruction is a brand new bonus which goes in tandem with Silent Leader. If you're able to kill the leader and still leave the allies running, you get bonus points for every enemy ally that is not knocked out. So this now kind of ties and requires you to actually focus on single target nuking the leader and trying to flush them out as quickly as possible. This means you'll be seeing a very increased usage in hammer, break hammer, napalm, missile, and so on, as a way to kind of flush them out quickly so that they can get maximized on those points. Win streak, total damage bonus, and legend rank bonuses will be permanently removed, so you don't need to worry about losing your streak if you go on, say, a two loss straight streak and then pull it back. You no longer have to worry about raising that streak back up because it no longer exists. Lastly, there will also be some changes to the enemy matchmaking algorithm, so that may add a little more interactivity as well. That part was kind of vague and ambiguous when I read over it the first time last week, so we will have to see how that does pan out once the update does go live next week. One other reminder, I have not seen a lot of activity on this, and y'all are kind of disappointing me on that. But in case for those that are unaware, we are still currently hosting our own version of the Ori Meta contest, Ori Custom Medarot Design Fan Art Contest, in our official Discord. Link provided below if you'd like to follow. Rules are here basically. TLDR, there is a motif prompt of summer fun. It does run through all of July into early August. Maybe a little farther if I decide to extend it based on interactivity. There will be cash prizes relative to the number of participants at the mod's convenience and discretion. So if we get a lot of people that join in and participate, we will probably use the cash prize. If we only get maybe 5 or 6, may or may not deal with it, unfortunately. Other rules as well, you have to draw it. You cannot commission someone to do it for you. It has to be from the artists themselves. We're not worried or looking for art capability or art skill. If you can put it to paper, we want to see it. And of course, general rules there on what needs to be on every entry if you want to take part. But if you'd like to see this in more detail, follow us in our Discord below, where you can see this in more detail and participate in the contest. Now, as always, on the community front, we are still always looking for translators to assist us with any translation projects or ongoing endeavors. Right now, the main two that we're focusing on is the Medarot 3 and Medarot Reloaded translations, with a little bit of decompilation work going into Medarot 4 at a more casual pace. But if you are knowledgeable in coding or cleaning or Japanese and have some time on your hands, we are more than appreciative of any effort that you'd be willing to provide or help out with. So feel free to reach out to me or join us in our Discord below as mentioned, and we can get you in touch with the right people that can fill you in on what has been done and what still needs done up to this point. Currently, Medarot 3 is about 70% or so translated at last check, but there still is a lot of text that still needs to be translated and then put back into the game. So we do need help with that because we would love, absolutely love, to work on fan translating more games, such as Medarot 4, Medarot 5, and Navi, and so on, so that we can enjoy them here on the West Coast, on the East Coast and the West Coast, without having to worry about the language barrier holding us back. Now, with the weekly art highlights here on the MNN, I decided to focus a little more on the custom arts and the custom designs that people have come up with, but this time I'm kind of tooting my own horn for once on this one. In particular, this one on the left was kind of my, poor attempt, I think, maybe, I don't know, of making the Unicorn Gundam as a Medarot design with color and design. Unfortunately, the design doesn't really fit because the legs don't support that number of heavy parts, but unfortunately, it's all I was able to come up with at the time. I may or may not redesign it, who knows, we'll see, but honestly, I still think I'm proud of my first attempt on that. And my buddy here at Naval Deuce, also in our Discord server, who decided to make a kind of a version or a retelling of Charizard, the ever-popular Fire Dragon Pokemon, as a Medarot form. Seems to be using a Fly Falcon's arms, Ku Wyvern's head, and I believe that's either Buster Tyrant or Attack Tyrant's legs for the design. Very creative retelling and remake of it in a Medarot form, so wonderful work to you, Naval, on that. And I can't wait to see more that people come up with, either from the Discord, or in just the server, or on Twitter in general. But, with all that being said, I do believe that covers everything on this week's episode, so as always, I do appreciate you all for stopping in, just as you always do. If you'd like to know more, you can follow us below on Facebook at the Medarot News Network page, or the Metabots Forever community on there, if you want to keep an ear down to the ground. Now, if you want to keep an even closer ear to the ground on anything related to Medarot, that includes any new merchandise, fan art, weekly episodes, my updates, or whatever, the Discord is absolutely going to be the place to do it. And you can find that link once more in the link provided in the comments below if you'd like to join up on that and keep an even closer ear to the ground. Where if we get any new updates or whatever, the Discord is going to be the first place that hears it before anywhere else. You can also reach out to me personally on Twitter at IsaGamiKura, so if you have any questions or feedback or comments, or would just love to reach out and say hello, I leave my DMs open for that very reason on purpose, so don't be a stranger, feel free to say hello and I'll get back to you when I can. Alternatively, if you are a streamer, YouTuber, or VTuber and would love to collaborate sometime, whether that means having you here on my channel, me stopping in on yours, or coordinating a group game with a group of friends of yours, I'd be thrilled to do that with you. So reach out to me and we can absolutely make something happen with coordination and time. Lastly, do give these wonderful, wonderful friends of mine a follow as well. Twitter user Vector Spaceman, the resident space custodian of the galaxy. I actually just had the honor of stopping in on his channel last night at time of recording for a group game of us playing Biped together on his channel. It was lots and lots of fun. We had a lot of awkward moments learning how to walk again in that game, but it was an absolute blast. Highly recommend giving him a follow. 10 out of 10 must recommend. Vector, if you are stopping in on my channel somehow and finding this, thank you once again for having me on the station with you, and I am eagerly looking forward to the next time. Also, give my buddy here, UCsachinashi, a follow as well on YouTube and on Twitter. He actually is responsible for a lot of the very popular Medarot BGM covers that are on both those channels he shares. And in fact, he was such a champion over this last week. Upon request, he actually managed to get to me a looping version of the Medarot 5 theme that he remixed, as I've been playing here through this channel. and probably will be keeping for a good long time as a new main BGM kind of thing. We'll have to see. But thank you so much, UCsachinashi, for helping me with that and getting me that BGM. And absolutely, without a doubt, 10 out of 10, give them a follow as well if you want to see more of their Medarot covers in the future and any other ongoing endeavors in Unity or game dev that they've been working on. But with all that being said, as always, I do appreciate you all for stopping by, just as you always do. And if you'd like to see more, again, links are below. And until next time, this is your host of the Medarot News Network, Kura Isagami, signing out.